everyone. My name is Oscar Martinez. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Texas. I love that question. Inspiration came from wanting to help people. That's the premise of who I am. I'm the person, you're driving, you see someone with a flat tire, I always pull over, you all right? You need some help? Fast forward to now, how can I do that in a engaging way? Someone who's needing to heal. So, backstory, I'm the oldest of many brothers and sisters, and I like to always be there for them. And I was someone who went through many journeys, from a businessman, starting my own gym, becoming a middle school teacher, and then a therapist, all in between together, meshed together. Everything, it was similar when it came to my value as a person. How can I help? I was a musician. I think that's a wrong term. A musician, you're never gonna be a was. It's always in you. But professionally, I played in a band for 10 years.
Ooh.
And I play 6 different instruments, and it's just in your body, it's in your spirit, and it's in your mind. When I went to get my undergrad, that was one of the options they had was music. My mom was like, you can't do that, it's not a career. Fine, then I'll be a psychologist. I'll go into psychology and philosophy, and then I snuck in there some music and music theory, became classically trained. And with all of that, I didn't know about this maybe until 10 years ago, that music therapy existed and how. And then I went into that route to get certified and get trained on it and utilize my own musical skills from my training as a musician and integrated both fields. And it just meshed so well. Number one is when you see people have that aha moment, and you probably experience it too. You tell your friends, they come to you for advice, and you're there to listen, and many times you give them advice that goes over their head, because really therapy is not about giving advice. Our friends, many times, if you experience this, just want to be heard. They want that acknowledgement, they want that validation. Within this, with questioning, I'm giving you guys behind the scene, a Deadpool moment here, breaking the fourth wall. It really is to explore together. So a therapist's objective is not to give you the answers, because we don't have the answers. You have the answers because you're not broken. You might be wounded, and our job is to help you discover how to heal. So we use a lot of questions. Another behind the scenes, what and how questions is what helps the mind process, helps the mind reflect and formulate a next step plan. When that happens and you see the person go, I got it, that's it. That's why I live for this. It's just a beautiful moment, because it's not about you. It's about them healing and discovering how to do it, and you just being there to guide a little bit.
I think that's a really beautiful perspective on therapy, because it's not about fixing what's broken, it's about showing them a journey to healing.
That's it. Oh yeah. That's a fair question, especially in this field, and I love to teach about this to fellow therapists. This is not always going to be a road that's going to be just linear. Nice, beautiful road. It's going to have its ups, its downs, its side to side. It's going to be wiggly. It's a roller coaster, we call it, right? Because the human body and mind is a roller coaster. Life happens, and we need to be there for them. A challenge is when you have someone relapse. Let's say you're working with addiction, or someone who is healing and then suddenly gets a phone call and lost somebody. And you get those 1, not 2, but 3, maybe 4 steps back. You get, your brain goes back into what it was, an original pattern that came from how you were raised. And all that hard work feels like it's lost. And it hits because we're still human as therapists, but part of going back to the reward is remembering it's not about you. Not to take it personal, it's about the person healing. So if we need to go back, formulate our goals, revisit, edit together, that's what we will do. But I'll tell you, that is a challenge. It hits you because you take it personal for a second. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Where did I go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I should have. And all those negative thoughts, we as therapists have to use our own skills. We in this field always recommend, as a therapist, you got to have your own therapist. You got to process these things because you're still human. But that is a fair question, because that is the challenge when you see that regression happen.
So has your outlook on art therapy or music therapy ever changed, like before you went into the field or after you went into the field?
It changed in a more positive way,
Okay.
especially when I was able to integrate music. I've always used music as a person in my day-to-day. I woke up, just to give you an example, this morning, blast my speaker. So there's like 5 speakers in my house everywhere. And we get a little spoiled. And I always have music playing. I'm always singing, I'm always humming. When I'm in the shower, that's when you warm up the vocal cords, right? You're getting ready. When you're at the gym, you're listening to music. I love to work out. So it's integrated in my life. When I was able to use music therapy, it was that aha moment. Wait, why don't I use this with the people I work with?
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt so fluid, but you don't put the conscious effort to go, hey, you can do therapy with music. And when you do, though, oh my goodness, the healing is so effective. It is so much faster. It is so much more natural. You don't feel like it's a task, it's a homework assignment. You feel like the joy behind making a playlist, because it's about you. You find yourself in your music. But yes, so once I did find out about it, I was a lot more integrated, and you can be more inclusive with how you can. And to back up a little bit, as a therapist, you have different modalities, is what we call it: CBT, DBT, music therapy being one of them, art therapy being another. There's so many of them. In our job as problem solvers, because that's really what our goal is to formulate which modality fits in. Mm-hmm. When you use music, though, it's the umbrella, in my opinion, of all of these, and it just puts it in a nice little bowl.
Mm-hmm. I think it's nice that you said that it's like an umbrella, because I feel like everyone can relate to music, so kind of like, it's an easy way to get into it without like feeling exposed, or like, I guess in a way, because music is like, everyone listens to music, right, in some way.
That like connects everyone together.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I love that you said that. One of the skills we do, I work a lot with teenagers, so all ages, but teenagers is a big part of my heart that I love to work with. And, we all have our tough days. They come in, the natural frown tells me they're upset, but I'm not going to call it out. I love to, as a therapist, you got to be an observer all the time. And I'll show you some tricks on what to do, as well as somebody who's learning. If you want to learn this field, a good way to get you started, and how to be a great listener and not use your verbal to communicate, but your nonverbal. And you see the person coming in upset, my natural inclination as a father, I have 2 daughters, is going to be, what's wrong? You're okay. Mm-hmm. Therapeutic mind, though, is to acknowledge and validate. I'm observing something. So instead of calling the person out like, what's wrong? You look mad, right? That's something a parent would say. What we do, at least in the music therapy realm, is it looks like there's an emotion that's pretty big right now. Grab your phone. I want you to find a song that represents how you're feeling right now, or how your day has been. And you pause and you wait on it. No judgment. In this 4 walls, there's no judgment. There's not a bias. It is you being you. And I just listen, and we listen to that track, and you'll see how the mood just starts to become more stable. Mm-hmm. Music does that to all of us. It's a mood stabilizer. Different? Mm-hmm. A little bit in more story. Think of it when you hear a song you like, you go to your story, right? You go the first time you might have heard this song and what it means to you. So let's say an adolescent will be relevant to them, and it could be them with their friends. So the story connects a little differently, and it might sway their emotion faster than a young adult. A young adult will still go to where the music puts them in the memory, but the big but is they're going to be blocked with some life stressors that an adolescent might not know yet. Mm-hmm. So I capture that. we see the stabilizing of a young adult, even an older adult, and they're like, yeah, I feel, I feel a little better, but I'm still mad. I still have to. So the articulation of language then jumps in a little easier versus adolescents. They might need 2 or 3 more songs in there to just move them. So this one, to give you this idea, the person comes in upset, I want you to represent the song, but what do you want to feel today? I want to feel calm. I don't want to be mad no more. Okay, we'll talk about what causes that anger, but right now, let's let the emotion be. Our emotions are giving us an idea of our world, what's in our environment. It's helping us make sense of it. Another fun fact, emotions are temporary. We don't laugh all day, right? Something makes us laugh is temporary. Sadness though, anger, we hold on to it longer. Why? Because our thoughts keep provoking and influencing that emotion, makes it longer. I love using that analogy because laughter is quick, right? It will hurt. You probably laugh so much, like, it's hurting. So with that in mind, an adolescent might need a second song to acknowledge the emotion, but it starts to move that person into feeling a little better. And then the third song will be their goal. I want to feel calm. I want to feel peace. And put a song that makes you feel peace. Well, I don't know which one. Well, this is a song that makes me feel better. And, I'll put one of my songs. They're like, you're old. And we laugh about it, but that's already changing the mood.
Yeah.
Right? See how there was no conversation of what made you mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Allow them to sit in it, since the emotion is temporary and you are now, there's some chemicals that we're using here to morph it to something you want, because we could change it.
So you're saying that music kind of helps to break those thoughts from holding on to your sadness and anger because it...
Beautifully said, yes. Yeah. Cognitive behavior therapy is going to focus, and that's a good segue, a perfect question for it. Those thoughts that come in, it's going to be something that influence our emotions. So I don't know if you want to show it, but on the screen over here, I have a little triangle, and this is my blackboard, and this is actually the CBT model. Cognitive behavior therapy is evidence-based, like dialectic behavior therapy, evidence. Music is evidence-based clinical work that we have sampled a ton of people that have been around for a long time, so we know it works. The premise of cognitive behavior therapy is thoughts are going to influence emotions, and emotions are going to influence our behavior / actions. So we put some skills to teach the mind when you have these negative thoughts, you can modify them to positive. When you have these high emotions through skills, again, CBT skills, there's a bunch of them, you could understand your world a little better and identify, maybe I'm perceiving the situation differently if I see it in a different lens, right? We all see things, and here's my example I like to give. We live life zoomed in like this. So CBT teaches us a therapist's objective is to beat the blind spot, right here where you can see. Our mirrors in a car that should notify if you're using it correctly. There's a car coming up, but you still gotta look. That's our job as a therapist, to be your blind spot and to teach your mind to take 2 steps back. When you do, look, you can see the bigger picture. One of these skills in CBT is called cognitive restructuring. This is where we reframe the situation and change the perspective. We may use, there's a great movie I love, it's called Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
It's such a good movie. And the kid in it, and I use this example a lot, he can't figure out what project to do for the show. Right? And he can, and his brother picks him up and he says, come on, this big brain, and he flips him over and you gotta see it in a different angle. And he does, and he gets that aha moment and goes, that's what I'm gonna make for my presentation. And he gets into school and so forth. Beautiful movie. There's a sad part, but we won't talk about that. All to say, that's CBT in a nutshell. We teach how you can use your thoughts to influence the emotion versus having the impulse to respond in a big emotion, such as anger. A lot of expression comes with, I want to hit something, I want to yell at somebody. But if we capture the thought through facts, and there's one of the skills called feelings versus facts with evidence, you start to identify using reframing. Maybe she didn't text me back because she's busy. Versus, see, she doesn't want to be my friend. CBT in a nutshell, to give you some relevance to it. DBT, the other one, this one's more going to be broken into 4 modules. This is really skill-based. This is for when somebody has high emotions, distress emotions. It was formulated for, there's a type of disorder called borderline personality disorder. This one is when your emotions can be really, really extreme, really quickly, or really low, and you can regulate it. So you need to have a skill to help you. One of them are the stress tolerance is a skill that we teach in this one. There's different ones, but within it, we do a lot more worksheets. It's a lot more hands-on. Think of it as of DBT, to give you an example, is how you learn a sport or music. One step at a time. And it's really people working together. So you will see DBT a lot of times in groups. I do DBT, I'm certifying it, and I use music actually as a component of it because it has to be step oriented. Step 1, we're gonna do this. I wanna get to 2 already, and that's part of the process. Hold on, let's pause a little bit. Let's explore and sit in 1 a little longer. Now 2, then 3, to help the mind reduce the stress, reduce the high emotion, and build tolerance. So let's say you're gonna have a panic attack. Give you an example, or anxiety, assignments are due, and your mind is just racing. DBT would say, there's a tip, I love this one, literally it's called tips, where you change the temperature of your body. So when we're upset, you run hotter. So one of the tips is put some cold water in your body. It's gonna regulate your nervous system. Get an ice pack, put it 30 seconds behind your back, and your neck area. 30 seconds on your left side, 30 seconds here. This is called the vagus nerve. This is gonna be a huge nerve system that goes through the whole body. So when you're anxious, it hits your stomach. That's because that's the vagus nerve being overstimulated. Connects to the part of the brain called the amygdala. That's your fight and flight one. So when we can regulate that through just changing the temperature, you'll see the person calms down. Another one, here's a cool fun fact, is sour candy. If you're feeling anxious, put a sour candy in your mouth. It forces the brain to be present instantly. Why primitive brain goes in, is this poison you're putting in your mouth? And you're like, oh, wait, I know it's candy. This is a Sour Patch Kid, as an example, right? But that quick change is going to lower that cortisol and adrenaline that has you in this high emotion. So DBT shows us that. So it's very, very specific skills that you and a therapist will be working together to master. It's a lot about mastering not just mastering the skill, but how to regulate your mind, how to regulate your body. So you'll see a lot of mind and body with DBT.
Wow. I think it's really interesting, the mind and body. Wow, I didn't even know any of that.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, so I'm going to generalize it.
Okay.
Similar to the aha one is when someone wants to learn, for instance, guitar, and then to get a little emotional, not to be personal, but just to give you this story, had a case where that young man lost his dad, tragically, car accident, from one moment to another. Those are really, really hard to overcome. It's different when you know and you can start grieving beforehand and you have a process of saying goodbye, but when it's instant, the brain cannot comprehend that. So it takes a lot of different steps to be able to teach the brain to begin that healing process / grieving process. So one of the goals he had growing up was to learn guitar. His dad was a guitar player. So underneath you, there's an electric guitar, so it's a little hidden, and he wanted to learn how to play electric guitar. So I said, okay, to give you a bit of a segue / disclaimer here, music therapy is not to teach you music. It's not meant for that. However, because I know music and I know how to play it really well, I could teach it to someone and utilize it as a grieving tool. With now you're using your motor skills. So to give you a little bit more in this story, music allows the whole brain to work together. The arts do that. It's going to allow your cognitive brain to be high and stimulated and excited. It's going to allow your emotional part of the brain, your logical. It's all literally working together. So with that story, he wanted to learn, and I said, let's learn. What's a song? Do you want to learn? What did you listen with your dad? Sitting in that emotion. And he liked Metallica. It's a metal band. And we will listen to the song, and my first thought, I go, oof, that's an advanced player song. But I'll show him how to start it and use scaffolds from just learning how to hold a guitar to formulate the pattern with your fingers that you have to create a power chord, to learning to use the right hand to do something different in the left hand. So see how it's using a lot of your physical motor skills. You find motor skills there, and then you're using your logical brain going, okay, this goes down, down, down. Yes, sir. And this one's gonna go here, and you're gonna keep it there nice and tight. If not, it's gonna tell you. It'll sound terrible if you're not keeping tight. So having him do that, to then see him learn how to play this song that he really, really liked, that him and his father got to share, was that moment of like, I am healed. It was a journey. It was a journey because it's a hard song. And part of it, just seeing it, oh my goodness, he's grieving through the stages as he learns this song, as he gets better with this song. So at the end, when he showed me, we both had a moment of like a relief. We got a little emotional because he's like, I did it. And that was for you, Dad. So it was a nice moment. I love that because, as I share with you, I use music all the time. Music is a good way for time management. It's one of the tools that I love to use, especially with ADHD. You can get ready with 2 songs as an example, right? You can take a shower with 3 songs, and that's giving you an idea of time. Not to give you an exact time, like a timer, that can create some anxiety and stress, but music allows you to do that. You go for a run, okay, I'm gonna run for 3 songs today, and next week for 4 songs. And you're integrating time that way. Our brain loves that. We don't articulate time like we do through our, what we call the conscious mind. Subconsciously, it doesn't see time as we do. It doesn't know that right now it's 9:30. However, it does recognize music. So we find that very interesting in this field. So why not use it as an example, as a motivator too? I know when I listen to my music at the gym, it's gonna be faster, it's gonna be stronger, and it's gonna be, hey Oscar, get up and do another rep. When I'm in here, it's 432 hertz, calm music to help your mind balance and regulate. So that's just one way to utilize it with time management. The other one is the mood stabilizer. Acknowledge your emotions with music. I had a bad day, I'm exhausted. Have 1 or 2 songs represent that. Then your song 3 is going to morph the sound, the beats, to something what you want to experience. For instance, anger, people a lot of times say happy. Okay, that's fair, that's what you want. For me, it's calmness or peace. So I will go from maybe a heavy metal song, strong and aggressive. Then I'll go maybe to a pop song. Then I'll go into a more calm song, and that probably is reggae for me. I love reggae, or it'll be jazz. And then once I get there, my mood is stable. You can use it for when you're eating. If you notice people eat really quickly, it's because a lot of times their brain is saying, hey, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do that. It is formulating the next steps, and it's jumping over one another, right? Music can create that environment of calmness. Put some really soft music like 432 hertz, classical, jazz, you'll notice the environment shifts, because now we're managing the environment. You can do that with music. So music can be integrated, in my opinion, in anything. Let's go into sleep. People who struggle with sleep, put some music on. Even sounds, put some white noise, blue noise, black noise. There's different color noises. Brown noise is a big one that's very popular right now, and green. So white, to me, creates a high level of excitement, which can create fear. But brown and green tells the mind to quiet down a little bit. You'll be able to sleep a little better. So to give you a full synopsis of it, really you can use music for everything. It's about being intentional in how. The how, that's where you get somebody like me who helps you formulate the how. I get that a lot. How can I integrate this? All right, well, first, what are the goals? Let's say I can't sleep, or I don't know how to manage my time. Let's create a playlist, and then we're gonna chop it up. And then we're gonna formulate the how together. Number one, don't let the time scare you. It does take a while to get to this area, to the couch, what I would say, or the chair, right? It takes a while because there is going to be a ton of schooling, a ton of hours you gotta put in. When you find your purpose in the population you wanna work with, that's going to allow the hours to be more of learning a skill. For instance, I used to play basketball. Never that good at it, but I'll tell everybody I was really good at it. And I wanted to be a three-point shooter. It took me a while to be a three-point shooter, but constant practice and playing and that being my goal made my learning experience so much more joyful, right? And that's the biggest advice I will let them know. Like, allow the time to be the time to find what you. Let me give you this, what I learned this one, and this is what helped me. I was first gonna say find what makes you happy, but to get to what makes you happy, you gotta know what breaks your heart, because that's what you will want to help with. What broke my heart growing up is kids. Anything kids related or elderly. So a lot of my practice when I first started with the internship, then when you're associate for 3,000 hours, it's a lot. I focus on kids, teenagers. Now my population went from 3 years old to 65 and above. My elderly client is 82. My youngest is 3. So that's the big spectrum, right? But my associate time was very, very narrow. So I can become a master of that. And then I started integrating other populations and getting better at that and learning to love it. But at first I had to focus on what broke my heart, which were kids. And I got really, really good at that, and it brought so much joy. The time flew. So that's step one, I would tell them. 2 is find a modality that you like. On undergrad, you would learn all of them. And it's good, it gives you a good snapshot of it. There's so many beautiful ones. And you will learn if you want to be an LPC, or you want to be someone who works in family therapy or a social worker. All of us get to work with people. So that's one way you get to narrow it out. I liked the LPC route because I still work with families, but I'm also able to work more in an individual base versus family therapists. Their biggest focus is going to be family or couples. So that's my direction with LPC. Number 3 is once you learn number 2, all the different skills, different modalities, find the one that connects to you the most. Once you find the one you feel like, I like this and can explain how, and you have maybe 6 to 10 tips of them or skills, tools, I call it a toolbox, then you will be able to move to the next. I see that a lot. I share this with young therapists all the time. It's overwhelming. Most of the questions I get, what if I don't say the right thing? What if I don't know what tool to come out from my toolbox and say, hey, let's use this technique today? Well, instead of getting overwhelmed with all the things that are out there, know the person here is coming in just to be heard most of the time. So be present and mindful of that. 2, if you have your toolbox of 6 to 10 techniques, then you're already assisting so much. And if you believe that you're helping because you know these techniques so well, the process is more fluid. So both parties are then believing. So that's a big one. Get really good at these techniques. 4B, once you get to the master level and you start doing internships hours, find yourself your own therapist, someone you trust, and see the therapeutic relationship grow. because you do need to be able to learn how to not take this energy, the heartache, home. You will burn out. Been doing this for a while, and that's the number one thing I see in my fellow therapists. I'm like, what do you do to regulate? How do you bring joy and master that? Behavior activations, and one of the things I always recommend, do things that make you happy and be intentional. That's why I have to work out 3 to 4 times a week. I have to hang out with my kids. I have to watch some movies, some silly ones that make me laugh, right? Without judgment too. So that fourth one is big. Make sure you take care of yourself. You cannot take care of others if you are not your best. And that's a lot of pressure, I know. It's a tough field, but it's beautiful. The number 5, just recognize it as a selfless field. You're here to heal and to help, not for the accolades. If you focus that way, I promise you, they come. They will come, you'll be grateful, but your goal, your mindset, your inner soul is going to be more joyful seeing someone heal and say, thank you.
It was really insightful.
Good.
Yeah, I really do think that we were able to learn a lot about this field and just how to incorporate music into our daily lives.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your insight.
Yeah, this was a wonderful experience, Mr. Martinez. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.